he will stand in front of you today and tell you, I've seen more murders in my 22 years than I've seen over there in war.
Welcome to More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend. I'm your host, Jay, and what a week has it been? Wild. Such a crazy week. For those of you that don't know, I guess the most exciting news is Nick and I were featured in an article for the Flatwater Free Press regarding the lawsuit that Nick has filed. He filed a civil suit a couple months ago against, I think, 8 members of the Nebraska Department of Corrections regarding the retaliation and the lack of transparency with their disciplinary action and their decision to remove me or suspend my status indefinitely. We just haven't gotten any answers from them ever. Like literally, if you ask them for any policy, if you ask them for any guidance, if you ask them for any conversation, there was just none. And I've told you guys about it over the months since I've started the podcast. But for those of you that maybe thought I was exaggerating or didn't believe the situation at hand, thought there was more to the story, there really isn't. Like, that's the gist of it. There really is not any reason. So we filed the lawsuit. So you can go ahead and look at the lawsuit if you want. There's also a lot of details about our relationship and what happened play by play. So pretty cool article. I'm super grateful for Sarah Gensler for publishing it for the Flatwater Free Press. She is like the watchdog, government watchdog. And I believe the Flatwater Free Press is like a nonprofit, like independent type newspaper. And we're so grateful for that exposure and just like being able to share our story with the world. It is interesting, and we have gotten a lot of people supporting us. We've gotten some people not supporting us or criticizing. And I think the interesting part, which I've noticed a lot in general, like even on TikTok and stuff, is that people just make their judgments without reading the article, for one, but without understanding someone's intent. And I'll give an example. I was watching a TikTok where the woman's brother had just been convicted of murder, and she was talking about how there was some constitutional errors, like the victim's family member was the head of the justice system of that county. So right there's a bias, and it should have been moved to a different court. And then you see in the comments, everybody's commenting about all these things about how he's guilty, he stalked his girlfriend, he did all this crazy stuff, blah, 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 blah. But that's not the issue. Regardless of all that information, that's not the issue at hand. And I commented on it and I was like, you're right. Like, that is not correct. That should be biased. That should be considered. And he should have moved venues. Like, that is arguable. That is, regardless of guilt or not. There are laws that need to be followed, and that's why laws exist, so we can follow them. In our case, people are like, oh, whatever they want to say about me, judge my character, judge his character, judge his guilt, judge his crime. Like, they're all over the place. Yet the issue at hand is the lack of policy and procedure that they're following. So that's the issue. Doesn't matter how we met. Doesn't matter what he was involved in. What I also found really interesting is I read a few comments about like it's taking away from like second chances of other people and stuff like that, which I find so fascinating because my husband is sentenced to first-degree premeditated, pre-plotted murder when the man has no weapon, has no intent to hurt anybody because he wasn't even carrying a weapon. There was no plan for him in his head to potentially even hurt someone, right? You can't predict how other people reacted, and the other people in the group reacted a certain way. And I could go on and on about the situation and the lack of information that people have. It's just funny to me how people are like, these types of articles block people from like having second chances at their crimes. Yo, Nick shouldn't even be incarcerated right now. Like, are you kidding me right now? Out of everybody in every case, other than those that are completely wrongfully convicted, felony murder is the most ridiculous thing in the world. And you want to say that my husband doesn't deserve that airtime? Get out of here. Like, I can't even entertain it. I can't even entertain it. It's crazy. And I'm so pro second chances for sure. Like, absolutely. But the reality is, he's not proportionally charged for what he did. And it's logically speaking. he is not proportionally charged. So it makes me laugh about some of those comments. But anyways, that happened. That was a whole thing. The next thing that I wanted to mention very quickly is AJ is taking a little bit of a step back from the podcast for some personal reasons. She's dealing with some stuff. So we have asked Pebbles, who was a guest on our show in the first season, and she's just been really active. We've gotten really close with her, and I just think she's hilarious. She's so well connected in the community. She's got really great insights. If anyone were to join, I really wanted her to. So we asked her if she would come on and help us because it's getting to be a lot for all of us to handle. And she was super excited about it. So you guys will see Pebbles and hear more about Pebbles in the future. So if you know her, give her a warm welcome and congratulations to joining the More Than Inmates Girlfriend family. So this week's episode, let's talk about it. Vayda, she was the first guest I think that I had other than Melissa on, but she was the first person that I interviewed. And she has come on the show today to actually talk about who she really is and what her husband's real case is and what the situation around their relationship is, and like a whole lot of drama. Her husband also falls under the felony murder, but if I could say my husband's is bad, I would say hers is worse. Like, the situation revolving around them is heartbreaking to me, and I want you guys to hear it and give your opinions because it's sad. It's just so sad. So she's a huge advocate and she wants to finally say who she is. We had a great conversation. She is a wonderful human being. She's a good friend. She is someone that I would trust with anything. And I'm so happy that she wanted to come back on and talk again because I would have this woman on every week if I could. So yeah, we'll get to learn who Vayda is. Remember, this has been an active week. We've gotten a lot more new people listening to the show this week. And I just want to welcome you all. I hope you enjoy it. We got some interesting episodes coming up. Please, if you are listening to the show, please hit the follow button if you care and want to, if you enjoy the show, whether that's on Spotify or iHeart or Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen to. Please hit that follow button so that we can know that you care and that you like it. And it helps us kind of track what's going on. And there's, for some reason, a lot of people that listen that don't follow. So the more people that follow, then the more we can do with the show. So please do that. Other than that, I hope you are enjoying this season so far, and I will leave it at that. Enjoy Vayda's reveal. Welcome back, quote unquote, Vayda.
Hey, Jay.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, Vayda, today you are going to expose who you really are and your real name and your real circumstances. Do you want to talk a little bit about why you decided to finally come out and share with the world who you really are?
Well, whenever I was first on the show, I didn't come out because at that time my husband was going back to court for a motion of reduction of sentence, in which I had filed on his behalf. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning of his and I relationship, I did not let people know because of assumptions and judgmental.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think once we go into that and talk about it a little bit more, people will understand it a lot more, because you are one of the few people that I know that are open about how they actually met their loved one, when I think it is a lot more common than we think. A lot of people just don't talk about it or aren't honest about how they really met their loved one because of the stigma around it. So, do you want to start with what's your real name?
My name is Stephanie.
Yeah.
I am the wife of Mario Navarrete.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about how you guys actually met. What is the story? It's a good one.
Okay, some years ago, I was working for a private prison. I started off as an officer, and then I had the chance to move into an admin position, in which, as anybody that knows anything about prisons, there's always orderlies that work up there. Mm-hmm. There was actually 2 orderlies, one of which I won't mention his name, but he's in a TC now, and the other one was my husband.
Sorry, what's a TC? What's a TC?
It's a transitional center. It's the next step before they go home. As long as they go and abide by all the rules and regulations set forth by Georgia Department of Corrections, mm-hmm. They go home.
Oh, okay, cool. Continue, sorry.
Anyway, I moved into the admin position because it was a Monday through Friday position. And I was just the type, I went in, I done my job as an officer and then as an admin. And I started learning of the two orderlies that was up there. And everybody up there was really fond to this one that had been up there for the last 3 to 4 years, and which is my husband now. And a lot of people, that's what I was talking about in the beginning about the judgmental and the assumptions. Everybody assumes, oh, well, y'all got together while you was working in the prison. No, we did not. Let me go ahead and clear that up. No, we did not. As I was saying, everybody up there was fond of him. He was up there every day, Monday through Friday, and everybody really liked him. And I had never even spoke to him, and I listened to everybody else talking about him, talking about his case, and his case intrigued me. It intrigued me to the point that I done my own research and went to find out about it. And because I'm not one to take anybody's word, I have to have the facts in front of me. So as I'm learning of his case, I see how he has gone through so much, and you can't tell it. You could not tell it. He was convicted of murder, felony murder, and was given a life sentence. And he was not the one that committed the murder. He was there. He was present, party to a crime. In the state of Georgia, if you're party to a crime, then you're just as guilty as the one that actually done the actual crime.
I think that's how we connected, really, initially, was because my husband has the same felony murder as your husband, and neither of them actually committed the crime, and yet were sentenced the same as the person who did commit it when they had really no prior knowledge of what was going to happen. So
exactly.
For those that don't know exactly what felony murder is, because I'm learning more and more that most people don't know what it is. We just call it out thinking that people know what it is, and really, because it's shocking when you learn the details that someone who did not have a weapon, was not participating in the crime, can still be charged the same as the person who committed the crime when the initial crime was not to murder to begin with, right? So
exactly. My husband's, he's been convicted of murder. He has charges of concealing the death of another, also of having a weapon during the commission of a crime. And one, he never held the weapon. Two, he never touched the body. And three, he didn't kill anybody.
Exactly.
But as I was saying, when I met him, I researched, found about his sentence, found out about what he was convicted of, and I was just like, wow, how many of these are out there? Because at that time, I didn't know how many would be out there. And so I went to take it upon myself, and yes, did I break my oath as far as working for the system? Yes, I did, because you're taught you're not supposed to have no kind of personal dealings or nothing with any of the quote-unquote inmates. And I went to getting phone numbers of attorneys, and I went to giving them to him. So did I break my oath in that regard? Yes, I did.
Right.
I'll be the first to admit I did it.
So it's very clear when you start that you're not allowed to have any kind of interaction other than what's necessary. Is that how it works? Do they warn you?
I mean, yes, to the point of we had a Christmas party, and you got cakes and you got goodies and all this stuff. And the two orderlies were having to set up for our Christmas party, but yet they could not have a piece of the cake. They could not partake in any of it whatsoever. And I'm like, really? Why? I said, it's not fair to have that in front of their face and them not be able to have any of it.
Crazy.
It's just ridiculous stuff like that, because my thing is, if they can set up for it, if they can have it in front of their face, why can't they have some of it? But that was one of the things I just noticed, and I was like, this is so wrong.
I remember Nick told me a story of a CO one time was like eating crackers or something, and Nick's like, oh, you're not going to give me one? And it was like an older lady that did her job. She was very good to them, but she was very strict, and they respected her a lot. And he was just joking, and she was like, oh, here. And she gave him a cracker, and she got fired.
Yeah.
And he's like, I felt so bad because like I didn't know that that would get her fired. And she was such a nice lady. That was not his intention at all. And he didn't actually think she would give him anything. But just because of that interaction, that's how thick the line is drawn.
Yeah, and I mean, just like me giving him numbers, I knew that I was risking my job, but at the same time, he's inside there. He doesn't have access to all that.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I had gathered from others, his family was not involved. They couldn't come visit because they're in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started giving him phone numbers. Well, one day, and I don't have no concrete proof, so I'm not going to mention any names.
Mm-hmm.
But one day, a girl sees me that works there. She works in the office. She sees me give him a piece of paper. And the piece of paper, actually, I still remember the attorney's name and number that was on it. And I was like, oh, crap. But I didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. The next week, the warden of security comes to me saying that somebody has called in and made allegations that I'm having an inappropriate relationship with an inmate. And he asked me, was it true? I told him, no, it was not true. And long story short, they ended up telling me that I could resign or they could do a long drawn out investigation. And he went on to tell me what the details of the investigation would be. And one of them was transferring him to a different facility and involving my family.
Mm.
First of all, I don't play about nobody messing with my family.
Yeah.
Nobody. And second of all, he don't deserve that. There's nothing there. And I knew he was comfortable. He was at home.
Mm.
He's in prison. He can't just go somewhere else and be as comfortable and feel like he's at home.
Yeah.
And how would you feel if somebody just come and moved you out of your house?
Yeah, and you had no say over it, and especially because it was innocent and there was nothing involved.
And so I decided, hey, I can get a different job. So I quit and I left. I did not see or hear from him. No contact whatsoever. Just brushed it to the side.
Yeah.
2 or 3 months later, I seen a friend of mine that is still an officer out there at the camp where he was at. And she told me about the other got moved to a TC. I said, well, that's good. He's on his way home. And then she said, well, and Navarrete, that's what they called him, Navarrete,
Mm-hmm.
he got transferred. I said, he got transferred where? She said, I don't know. I said, well, I'm fixing to find out because I said there was no sense in transferring him whenever there was nothing to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told her what I had done about giving the numbers and the names of lawyers and how I had explained to him I can't call them because I work for the system, but here I can at least do this much. And I said, I'm going to find out where he's at. So I went on the website, found out where he was at because I knew how to do that from working in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And also I contacted his family because I knew his family was out in Texas and not too many people has the last name Navarrete. So I went to contacting people on Facebook.
Mm.
That's how, and I started sending him letters, and that's how he and I got to talking was through letters. When I first wrote him, I explained to him I was sorry and I shouldn't have never given him the numbers, and we just started writing back and forth. But then that's when I really started advocating for him. By that time, we had built a friendship, and it went from a friendship to best friends to we were together, and now he's my husband.
Wow. In your experience, how common was it that people that were working there ended up in relationships with guys that are incarcerated?
In the prison, did it happen? Yeah, it did, but it wasn't common.
Okay.
It really was not common there.
And I'm assuming he didn't blame you, but just to clarify, he didn't blame you for his transfer.
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
He said he knew from that point, whenever that note was seen passed, he had been in long enough. And at that time, he knew that he would probably get transferred. He said, I just knew it.
Mm-hmm.
But he and I did not even speak, but maybe a time or two after that, because it wasn't like we spoke on a regular basis other than good morning or something along that lines. When the accusation got made and the anonymous phone call was put into the security warden, He was actually moved from the front before I left. He was taken off his detail.
Wow. And in hindsight, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently?
Yes, I wish I had resigned prior to helping him with giving him the phone numbers and stuff, so that way he would still be there. Do I regret resigning from my job? No, I do not, because it wasn't a place for me
Okay.
with all the injustice I was learning. Because I was an officer, you don't learn that stuff. But going into admin, you learn all the
Oh,
sentences and the unjust that's going on, the wrongfully convicted people and over sentenced. You learn that kind of stuff.
right.
And as an officer, you don't see that. You don't get to see their charges, their sentence, anything like that. You don't know unless they tell you.
Right. That makes sense. How has the stigma of this affect you?
The stigma.
Yeah.
First of all, the stigma with surrounding being with someone in prison is
Yeah.
horrendous anyway.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
I think any prison wife goes through that.
Yeah.
People assume you're crazy. That I've even had people assume that I've committed a crime before. I have never done no drugs. I've never committed a crime. I've never done anything. But people automatically assume that.
Yep.
But Jay, as you know, yours has got a life sentence. Mine's got a life sentence. It's even more challenging. And there's so many remarks and so much stigma. Being somebody that worked in the prison, and especially like people find out, they ask, well, how did y'all get together? Were y'all together before he went in? And then when I say, well, I worked at the prison, they automatically start judging and making assumptions that I got with him while I was at the prison that I worked at. And I'm like, no, we did not. And then that's when I have to go into the whole spiel of telling them how, what, when, where. Really, it's none of nobody's business.
Yeah.
I mean, I could care less what people think, what people say, but I don't want them looking at him like that because he's already with a life sentence for a murder he didn't commit. And then people are going to make that assumption about him that, oh, he was trying to get with somebody that was working at the prison, and he didn't. I mean, it was nothing like that. But, you know, just being with somebody that's got a life sentence, you hear all kinds of things. He's never getting out. He's playing you. He's seeing other women.
Yeah.
And I've even had people come up and telling me, well, while he's in prison, you need to get you somebody that can be there with you.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
You've had it too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And people just in this day and time do not believe in being faithful,
No.
do not believe in standing beside somebody. And my thing is, if I can't stand beside him while he's in there, whether it be 1 year, 10 years, or 100 years, then I don't deserve him when he gets out.
Yeah. And I feel like it's so weird to me because it's like, if you're committed to someone and you love them, like I can't even picture having someone else next to me. I can't even picture trying. It would just gross me out. I don't want anybody but my husband. Does that mean if your husband is away for a significant amount of time or you guys did long distance for a while that it would mean that you can sleep around with someone else? It just boggles my mind.
I look at it just like, say my husband was still in the military
Yeah.
and he was deployed.
Yeah.
It's no different. Yes, the time could be longer, could be shorter.
Yeah.
I'm not God. Nobody else is God. They don't know whenever he's going to get out. Only God knows that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, people are just, like I said, judgmental and assuming. Like,
Yeah.
I have people just assume, oh, you're not by yourself. And I look at them, first of all, I don't care what you believe. Second of all, I know there's nobody next to me during the day, at night, no time. There's nobody that holds a candle to my husband. There's nobody that can take his place. There's nobody, like you said, that I want next to me. If I can't have him, I don't want nobody.
Exactly. I have to deal with the whole prison wife thing, and you're pretty open about it on social media. I don't know how open you are about it in your private life, but I've been internally struggling recently with how open I am about it in my private life. And I don't know how much you are, but you kind of have it double because of the whole how you guys met. And I feel like I have a certain stigma because, which it would be the same as yours, the met while incarcerated and the, like for me personally, the you met him on right a prisoner. So I have to deal with those stigmas. But I always felt like Even the prison wives themselves kind of judge women that met their husbands through the prison.
And they do. If they find out, oh, you met him while he was incarcerated, well, I hear that's not a real relationship. That's not a real marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, being with somebody in prison, if you are doing what you're supposed to do, being loyal, faithful, committed, standing by that person through and through, then that is the realest marriage relationship you can possibly have.
Yeah.
It's so much more real than being with somebody that you can be with physically, because you don't have that physical touch. You don't have where you can sit down and next to them and talk to them or watch a movie with them, because they're in there. And I even hear, well, you must be desperate.
Oh, yeah, I hate that one.
So you've heard that one too. Yeah. And no, I'm not desperate. It just happened the way it happened.
Yeah.
The day before he and I got together officially, I didn't even dream of being with somebody that was incarcerated. Yeah. Even when him and I became friends, I didn't even think about we were going to be together.
Same.
We was just going to write back and forth, and I was going to advocate for him and see about getting him out so he could go home to his family and find him somebody. That was the whole thing. And then feelings started developing, and then we were together. But would I necessarily pick somebody in prison? No. This whole fad that's going on about being with somebody in prison, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
They may think it's all cool and it's all this and it's all that in the beginning, but what about when the real feelings go to hitting? What about when the loneliness hits?
Yeah.
What about when you can't just pick up the phone and call him? What about whenever you can't just lay there beside him when you've had a bad day and you're upset?
Yeah.
They don't think about all that stuff.
No. And when they go to the hole and they lose phone privileges, and like there's so many things. I would agree with you. I would never recommend this relationship. I think that it's important that we destigmatize them and have the community, and it's important that we fill ourselves and our lives with other people that understand us. But I would never say to someone, hey, you should go and write a prisoner and meet someone. No.
I even tell my husband, this is the craziest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
I said, and these people that are just getting into this, they don't know what they're getting into. I had some idea whenever I got into it because I had worked in the system, and I knew a life sentence is a life sentence. That means there's no out date.
Yeah.
He does have life with parole, but that doesn't guarantee him parole.
Right.
And I know you know about this. Whenever you've had so much go on and you want to tell him all about it, and you get that 15-minute phone call, and when you're sitting there and you're right in the dead middle of telling them you got 2 minutes left, I'm like, oh.
I wonder, from your experience, why do you think it is that people that have met their loved ones while they were working at a prison are stigmatized more than others?
Because they're judged, and I know there is some that do have inappropriate relationships with them while they're inside, because that is going against your oath. But for the ones that get with them later on after they've quit the prison, left the prison, like in my case, everybody automatically assumes I got with him while I was working at the prison. And they're just judgmental.
Yeah. It's like people don't want to look at their own problems. They want to look at all of ours.
Exactly. And let's just face it, what would we find if we went looking in their life?
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that a lot of, I'm going to say women because we're mostly dealing with men that are incarcerated, but I'm sure it happens the other way around. Do you think that a lot of those times these relationships aren't real, whether it's like from one side or the other, that they aren't honest and they aren't sincere relationships in your experience?
Unfortunately, I do feel that not all, but the majority on one side or the other are being taken advantage of. If it's on the staff side, it's all about the chase, the excitement. From the side of an inmate, yeah, they're using them and taking advantage of them to get what they want. Because a lot of times whenever you hear of these relationships, the staff member is bringing stuff in for them. And either way, whichever side it's on is wrong. My thing is with women, know what you're getting into before you get into it. before you commit to it. Two, don't get in there playing no games with them because they're already inside four walls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't need to think you're out here playing them. That's not fair because they are in there with four walls and nothing to do but time to think. And they don't need to sit there and think about and wonder and worry about if the person they're with is out here being faithful and loyal to them. And vice versa. Women don't need to be out here thinking that they have somebody that's going to get out and come home to them and be faithful to them. And then the person inside is just using them until they get out and then they just go do whatever with whoever they want.
Yeah.
I think both sides need to really think about it before they get into it, and they both need to be fully committed. And if they can't, leave each other alone.
Yeah.
Don't play with people's lives.
I know that your story specifically was really innocent. You were just trying to help this person. Do you find that when you were an officer, were there any moments where you thought of someone as more than a friend or anything like that? Is it something that is hard to avoid, or is it just these women are looking for it?
To me, it was not hard to avoid. I was a woman inside a man's prison, so did I have them trying? Of course. But to me, there was no temptation there because I was there to do my job and to earn my paycheck. And just like with any other job, to go do my job and go home. That's what I was there for. I didn't treat it any different than any other kind of job. I just went there to do my job and then go home. So there was no temptation for me. And I think the ones that go in there and they are tempted by that, that's the ones that the free world automatically assumes about people like myself and like you, Jay, that we're desperate.
Yeah.
And if you're there to do your job, then you're not going to be tempted. You're not going to worry about what others are saying to you while you're in there. When I was there to do my job, they knew where I stood. They knew not to cross those lines. They knew I was there to do my job. And I used to tell them when I'd go into a unit with them, I'd be like, I'm here to do my job. I'm not here to disrupt your house. We can make this easier or we can make this hard. You respect me, I respect you. And that was it.
Yeah. And I do find from when I used to have video visits with Nick, which feels like forever ago, I would see sometimes these women COs, and oftentimes they were very pretty girls. They weren't like horrendous looking or anything. They were decent looking girls, but you could tell they meant business. They were not like flirty or whatever. They were like, we do our job. So I feel like you could tell there was a line. So it always surprises me of when I hear about how often these types of relationships develop, but then I have to think about in a normal workplace, it's something like 60% or 70% of affairs happen at work because you're with the person so often. So I imagine even just naturally, if you're hanging around the same group of people, it might just happen.
Yeah, and in that case, a woman working in a man's prison, they don't need to be left in one area. They need to be constantly moved around. They should never be left in one area because, like you said, if they're in there with the same ones every day, just like all the admin people had become very well acquainted with both of the orderlies up there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's going to happen. If the same one's there 3 or 4 years, you're going to learn about each other's lives.
Exactly.
So I don't think the officers should be in the same unit every day,
That makes
not even every week.
Yeah.
They should be constantly rotated.
Moved. Yeah, that makes sense. Last question, just because I have you here as someone who worked in a prison and not a lot of people want to talk about it, but what was the culture like in your experience? I know that we can't make a judgment of every facility based on your experience, but out of curiosity, why do you think that some of the staff are so horrible to loved ones or the guys? Is it a culture development there, like us against them?
Well, so you're taught to go in there and stand firm with no kind of personal interactions, no kind of personal feelings, not even really a smile. And a lot of them people that get in them positions forget the incarcerated individual is still a human being. And they get in there and they think they're better than them.
Yeah.
They do.
Wow.
Because they're a staff member, they're an officer. This person's locked up, this person's incarcerated. Oftentimes they forget that these people are still human beings.
Yeah. The $1 million question that everyone has probably been dying for me to ask is, because of your kind of tricky history with him, where are you guys at right now? Do you have access?
Oh, Jay, that's a loaded question. And one, it really infuriates me because others that are within power should know that people make false allegations all the time, and it should not disrupt their lives professionally or personally unless proven to be true. And at this time, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but because of the accusations and assumptions, I'm currently denied visitation and have been told at his current facility that it's indefinite.
Wow.
And I'll say this much. We're currently waiting to see what the outcome of his parole hearing is, and I have filed an appeal for his motion for reduction of sentence. We're waiting to see what the outcome of those are before we proceed with other measures.
Okay.
Because they were false allegations. And I'm not going to just allow false allegations to make it where I can't see my husband indefinitely.
Mm-hmm. So when's the last time you've seen him?
The last time I saw him was when he was back in the county where he went for the reduction of sentence.
Yeah, so you saw
court
him.
hearing.
Okay.
And I went to the county jail there and I went and saw him.
Sorry.
I went and saw him, but it was through a TV monitor. But the day in the courtroom, then I got to see him then.
You saw him in person then?
I did. I did.
How was that?
Oh, I wanted to jump over there and go up and hug him and kiss him.
Aww.
I will say the assistant DA, she was really nice, and she come to me and she said, "Is there anything you want me to tell him?"
Wow.
And I told her no, that I was going to leave there and go visit with him.
Aww.
But
how sad is that, to be excited for a court hearing just so you could even see him, you know?
It's so many emotions all together, you know. It's excitement. I'm sitting here smiling right now.
Yeah, I know, I can tell.
But at the same time, it's sad because I couldn't touch him. I couldn't talk to him and just sit there and hold his hand and talk to him. But, I mean, we're waiting to see the outcome of his parole hearing and of this appeal. And I'm a fighter. I'm a soldier.
Yep.
I'm going to stand beside him, whether it's 1 year or 100 years. And every day I'm going to put my best foot forward and I'm going to fight until I have no more breath in me.
Mm-hmm. I think if anyone after this goes and sees your social media, they can see just how much of a fighter you really are. I loved seeing everything that you were doing.
I've gotten worse since then.
Yeah, we've really stepped it up. I think we both have grown a lot in this, which brings me to the next topic, because I feel like this whole journey for me personally, since I've known Nick, has really pushed me out of my comfort zone to grow in ways that I needed to grow to get to the next level or do more, like this podcast or the publication company I made or whatever. So many things that I feel like I would never have been exposed to if it wasn't for me knowing Nick and getting to know him and getting to know advocacy and criminal justice system and just crazy stuff. For you, you wrote a book. So congratulations on that. I have read it. Can you speak a little bit about why you decided to write a book and then what it's about?
I remember back whenever I was in my 20s, because of things I had gone through since I was a child, wanting to write a book, but I never put the pen to paper, and it was just a dream. But you know, a lot of us, we do not follow through on our dreams.
Yes.
Well, throughout this with my husband, you know, how he and I got together, things that I had gone through since I was a child, I just decided one day, I said, you know what, I'm fixing to start writing my book. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I was going to get it all wrote. I had it wrote within like a couple months. And I didn't think it was going to come together that quick. And then I also did not plan on publishing. Mm-hmm. It was just something for me. I just wanted to put it in book form, have it for me. I didn't want to publish it because I didn't want to upset anybody that was mentioned in it.
Yeah.
I didn't want assumptions, judgments. I just didn't care what other people thought. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it was just for me. It was like a healing thing for me. It was to release everything that us as prison wives, we oftentimes keep inside.
Yeah.
Because we don't have them sit down conversations with our husbands because we can't be with them physically. So we keep a lot of stuff inside. So that was just my way of getting everything out and that I had gone through, and then telling about how he and I got together. And so I sit down and wrote it. And I asked a friend of mine, he was just an associate then, but he has become a really good friend, about how to get it into book form because I wanted to be able to get it and keep it for the rest of my life. And just to be able to say, I done that.
Yeah.
And he got it and he was going to do that. And he said, Stephanie, I want to publish this because I had reached out to him because I knew he was a publisher. And he said, I want to publish this. And I thought about it and I was like, sure, go ahead. And that's where it came about. And my book is called Ashes to Love. It's about where you can come from ashes, from being abused in every way possible, from rape, molestation, being beat physically, and you can still find love and you can still make something beautiful.
I love it because after I knew you as such a strong person before reading your book, and like you said, I've watched you for a long time now and everything that you've done, and you're just this like powerhouse of a human being. No F's given. You will do what you need to do for the people that you love. You were so strong. And then to see where you came from and read the book and learn about your story and all of the things that you have gone through, that a normal human being shouldn't go through one of them. And here you are going through all of these crazy, traumatic experiences, one after the other, just beaten into you. And then to see you now, today, as so strong and powerful, really. You are able to do things that I think most people aren't able to do at all. So it's amazing to see just after reading the book and then to see who you are today. It's incredible. It really is.
Well, Jay, I decided, hey, I've got two choices here. I can either become a statistic, which a lot of people that go through things that I've gone through become addicted to drugs. They start having multiple sexual relationships.
Yeah, promiscuity.
Yes. Or I could let it make me a better person, make me into a fighter, somebody that didn't give up. And that's what I decided to do. I said, I'm not going to be a statistic. I've never done drugs. I don't sleep around. I've had my serious relationships. And then I looked at my husband and everything he's gone through, and he's still such a positive, happy-going person. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take what I've been through and I'm going to let it be my fuel. And he is my inspiration to fight for him, to fight for all the ones that are being over sentenced, wrongfully convicted, just so much injustice done to them. And I'm going to use that as my fuel and let it make me a better person. And some people might say I'm not a better person because I don't give no F's and I don't care what people think, and I'm not going to sit down and I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to keep going. Whether I hit a dead end wall, I'm going to turn to the right or left and go that way. I'm not going to let anything or anybody stop me when it comes to fighting for my husband or fighting for the others.
Was it difficult being that vulnerable on paper?
It was at first. I'm not going to say it wasn't. And I'm not going to say I didn't have to take a break here and there. Just like right now, I'm in the process of writing my second book. And my books from here on out are going to come off of my first one. So you're not going to be able to read them and not read my first one. And I have written like 4 chapters of this second book, and I've been on a couple of months break. One, because it's going very in depth, whereas the first book I didn't really go in depth on the subjects. And 2, because I do have my plate full with advocating for my husband and for others, but more so for my husband right now because my husband does have a parole hearing coming up in December. So I am really going heavy on that.
So now that we know a little bit about who you are and where you're at, let's talk about your husband's case because it's very important. And I think people need to know about his case specifically because it really saddens me about his situation. Let's talk about what happened.
Well, I'm going to tell a long story real short, but they can go on my Facebook, Stephanie Navarrete, and it is pinned at the top. It's a petition, and they can read the whole story. But my husband, he was 24 years old when the crime took place. He had been the past 9 to 12 months over in Iraq in the 2003 invasion of Iraq, had been over there fighting with four other guys, the four other guys that they went out that night. As they came back to the States, they went out for their little guys' night out, went to strip club, the bar, what have you. The victim actually became really intoxicated and got them all threw out of the strip club. And the other guys were upset and they all started fighting, to make a long story short. And the one that actually done the stabbing pulled off onto the side of the road, got out, and stabbed the one that had got them threw out. My husband was there along with two others. The other two took plea deals. One of them got 20 years to serve 20 years, and the other one got 5 years on paper.
Wow.
They are both free men. But my husband did not take a plea deal because he could not say what the district attorney wanted him to say. So he did not take the plea deal. And come on, he was 24 years old.
Yeah.
He didn't have no knowledge of the legal system. So he didn't take the plea deal and took it to trial. And he was found guilty of murder. And it clearly states in the transcripts, it's not just his word, it's not just my word, it's in transcripts,
Yeah.
that he did not commit the murder.
Yeah.
He was there. He didn't help cover the body. Actually, a couple of months after the crime occurred, the guys had went back and disposed of the body. The one that got 20 years, he actually touched the body. He actually set the body on fire.
Wow.
But he got 20 years because he took a plea deal.
Right.
Whereas my husband never touched the body, never touched the knife.
Mm-hmm.
He was just there and didn't report it.
Yeah.
He's got life just like the one that committed the murder. He was charged with the possession of the knife. He was charged with concealing the death.
Yeah.
He was charged with everything that the actual guy that committed the murder done.
Yeah. And that's what I think is so crucial here. You touched on points so clearly that it's not a question to the state. Like a lot of people say, like, oh, he's wrongfully convicted or he was innocent or he didn't do it. But like it's actually in the transcripts. It is very well known, agreed upon statement of facts. He did not commit a murder. He did not have a weapon. He did not touch or have any part of the situation. It was a group of friends and he was doing what he thought he had to do. Under no circumstances does anyone think that he committed the act or participated in it, really.
Yeah, and then just like with my husband, people say, well, he should have told. He should have this. He should have that. First of all, you don't know what you would do unless you're put into that situation.
100%.
My husband had just come back from fighting in a war
Exactly.
beside these guys, having their back. They were taught to have each other's back.
Yep, exactly.
So when I say that to people, they're like, well, the victim, he should have had his back. And yes, my husband now, his statement in court when we went for the motion of reduction of sentence, he made the statement and it's listed on my petition and in articles I've had written. My husband's statement was that if he could go back to that day, he would die right alongside of Davis, which was the victim's name.
Yeah.
He would fight defending him. He would die defending him.
What saddens me about the whole thing is this group of men, what it should have been, and maybe it's just the times, was it 2003?
It was.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was at that time period of what people believed or whatnot, but what should have been seen as a tragic incident that occurred as a result of post-traumatic stress from being at war was instead seen as a cruel murder. These people went to war together. They were brothers. They probably had a deeper bond than any of us could even imagine if we weren't there. And this should have been seen as just a horrible, horrible incident that was triggered from the stress of being at war and not a cruel crime that was vicious and whatnot. I'm sure that these guys blame themselves and have penalized themselves more than any court system could have done.
Exactly. And like you mentioned, the PTSD, when they came back, this was like 36 hours after they came back that this incident occurred. And unfortunately, Davis was killed that night. But it was 36 hours back. So these guys still had war in their mind.
Yeah.
They were struggling.
It's in their bodies.
And he was in county for 3 years. And then when he first went into the prison system, they have to go through like a diagnostics.
Yeah.
The therapist or counselor told him, "You have the worst case of PTSD I've ever seen."
Yeah.
Come on, this has been 22 years ago that he
Mm-hmm.
was told this. Now he will stand in front of you today and tell you, "I've seen more murders in my 22 years than I've seen over there in war."
Wow.
So imagine what he goes through and then what I have to
Wow.
go through, because at any moment when he calls, when I was going to the county and seeing him, his mood fluctuates within seconds because he has severe PTSD. And that is one of the things I've already started going to the Veteran
Yeah.
Affairs. I've started contacting them,
Good.
having meetings with them, because when he does come home, my husband, he's very positive, and he says, "I'm just going to come home and I'm going to work. I'm going to get me 2 or 3 jobs."
Mm-hmm.
But I have to stop him sometimes and tell him, "No, you're not. What you're going to come home and do, because I'm holding it down for us now, I'm taking care of the house, I'm
Yeah.
making sure he eats. What you're going to come home and do is you're going to get the help that you need." Because I know, first of all, if he comes home and tries to work, it's only going to make his mental health worse. And he needs to get that mental health taken care of and seen about before, and make sure he's good
Yeah.
before he goes out into the world, because after being incarcerated 22 years, he doesn't know what it's like out here.
Yeah.
And even though, yes, he makes friends easily, yes, but all that stuff from war, 22 years of prison is in his mind. He's just got it pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make sure before that all comes to surface that he's getting the help he needs
Mm-hmm.
for his health, for his mental health, for him,
Yeah.
because too often people come out of prison and they end up committing suicide or going back to prison because they can't handle it. And I'm not going to allow that to happen to my husband. I'm going to make sure he's good.
Mm. It literally horrifies me whenever I hear his story that that's how we treated these guys. It literally horrifies me because the knowledge that we have now on post traumatic stress, if it would have been applied 20 years ago, I think it would have been a very different outcome, you know? So it's so sad to me.
And I'm not saying it's okay, no matter what you've gone through, to take a life. I'm not saying that whatsoever.
No.
But even with the guy that actually committed the murder, he had just come back from a war zone.
Exactly.
And if you look up about the 2003 invasion of Iraq, it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was a really bad time. And we don't know what them guys actually went through mentally. You
Yeah.
know, they was just over there having to kill people.
Yeah.
So that night, I can only imagine what happened in that guy's mind that
Yeah.
actually committed the murder.
Yeah.
And instead of throwing him into a prison cell,
Yeah.
why didn't we get him help?
Exactly. All of them. This is so tragic. This should be a tragedy where they should be able to mourn the person that was killed. The other thing that I think that you touched on that really just stuck with me as you were speaking about it is his comment about he's seen more traumatic incidences while he was incarcerated versus while he was at war. That is a very poignant statement. That is very telling of what these guys are exposed to, and then they're expected to come out of prison and be able to work and be able to do everything and be able to stay off the streets and whatever. I feel like there's this huge gap of knowledge of what we're putting people through, what the system's truly like, the trauma that's being pressed on them. Sometimes Nick can't talk to me about some of the stuff that he's seen because obviously everything's recorded, but some of his side statements that he's made, I can't even imagine what this man has been through and what he's seen. He's been through multiple riots. He spent multiple years in the hole. There is so much trauma all enveloped inside of him. And I'm sure your husband has been through similar, if not worse. And then he can, as someone with experience, can say, war was less than what I've experienced here.
I don't know what statistics are there in Nebraska, but here in Georgia, just last year, there was almost 300 killed in our prisons.
Wow. Wow.
And I'm not talking about natural causes. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
just dying. I'm talking about actual murders.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how our Georgia prisons are. There's a group on Facebook that if you join it, everything gets exposed
Yeah.
inside the group. Some things I don't necessarily agree with, but I mean, the girl that runs the page is admin. She is one of my friends, and that's what she feels as though needs to be done is everything needs to be exposed. And okay, it's called Georgia Prison Exposed
Yeah.
on Facebook, and you can see all of it. You can see the murders and the drugs and all the stuff that's going on in our Georgia prisons. They'll even show what they're getting fed. And I honestly wouldn't feed it to my dog,
Yeah.
what they're getting fed.
Your journey through advocacy, I feel like it grows exponentially every year. Where are you at right now with everything? What are you doing? What have you learned? Let's talk about this advocacy journey a little bit more.
My advocacy journey, whew, it's a wide range. At first, it was all about advocating for my husband. It was nothing but going hard for him every day, every month, every week, whatever. I just got harder and harder going for him. And I started having others reach out to me, want me to join with them and help advocate. And then I started having people from inside reaching out to me, telling me how they commended me for going hard for my husband. And I started learning of their cases. So it's just grown. I just done a rally July 14th. It started out to rally for my husband's parole, but it actually turned into a rally regarding all lifers that were under the 7-year and 14-year law here in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when they were convicted at that time, I don't know how familiar you are with the Georgia laws, but at the
Mm-hmm.
time, like in my husband's case, he was sentenced under the 14-year law, which meant after 14 years, he was eligible for parole. But the parole board on the 7-year, 14-year lifers, they keep setting them off, giving them the same reason, not enough time, or because of the crime. First of all, the crime's never going to change.
Yeah.
It's never going to change. I don't care if you keep them in there 100 years, it's going to still be the same. The crime will never change. Second of all, they were sentenced during, like in my husband's case, 14 years, meaning if he had done all his classes, he had done everything that was asked of him, he was not getting in trouble, he should have gotten parole after 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the parole board keeps setting them off. I have several people that I am advocating for. Actually, I have close to 100 that I myself am personally advocating for, right, which includes writing the parole board, emailing the parole board, because they were all sentenced within the 7 and 14-year old laws. For an example, I have a Christopher Lucas that has been incarcerated 33 years. He's now 80 years old, confined to a wheelchair. He was sentenced under the 7-year law. He has had no disciplinary record in 33 years. He's been set off by the parole board 11 times. And he, like my husband and your husband, he was not the actual one that committed the murder.
No. Are you
But still
kidding me?
33 years and confined to a wheelchair and 80 years old.
Oh my gosh.
You can find his case on my Facebook.
Okay, wait. So, what was their reason for denying him continuous parole? He's obviously not a threat to society. He's in a wheelchair.
He's only been in the wheelchair since 2019, but he's had a parole hearing since then, and he was denied. But
What was the reason?
I'm because of his crime.
Which he didn't actually commit.
Exactly.
Wow.
But in Georgia, he was party to a crime, so therefore he's guilty of the murder.
Right.
Um,
Same as Nick. I swear when I saw those posters in the rally that you did, I could not believe my eyes. And it's one of those things where you don't know until you know. And because in Nebraska, people get paroled, it happens all the time. So
yeah.
it's not a problem for us. And I knew you had something against the parole board, but I guess I didn't really know the details of why, what was going on until you did that rally and you had those posters and you wrote just so clearly the circumstances, like you just spoke of. 80 years old, in a wheelchair, 33 years incarcerated, never had a write-up, denied how many times? How does that make any sense? Why?
It doesn't. In Georgia, you can look at the statistics, and every year the people getting paroled has gone down less and less. Our prisons are so overfilled that they're sleeping on the floor, where they're in the double bunk rooms in cells. They've got 3 of them in there. It's really bad here with the overcrowding and stuff right now. And First of all, they need to start with the lifers that were sentenced in the 7 and 14 years, that just like this man, just like my husband, people that are not getting in trouble, that have done everything asked of them. They're not a threat to society. They are not a problem to the staff. They need to go ahead and parole all those. But if you look, the ones that have been getting paroled as of 2024,
Yeah.
it was the short timers, the ones
Yes.
not serving long sentences. But why is that? Because they know they're going to be back.
Exactly.
And that is nothing but a monetary gain.
Mm-hmm.
I've got another one. 32 years incarcerated, a Christopher Frisbee. He's been in since he was 16 years old. He was sentenced during the 7-year law, hasn't been convicted of a disciplinary record in over 20 years. He's earned his associate's, bachelor's. He's got a CDL, vocational, all kinds of Microsoft Word. He's published several coloring books from within. He was set off in 2023, and he don't have another one until this November, which I hope they grant him parole because, come on, he was 16 years old when he was convicted. He was a child.
Do you know anybody that has gotten paroled from a lengthy sentence?
No, I had one that was just released that I had wrote a poster for.
Okay.
One of the guys that I'd done a poster for. 2 weeks later, after the rally, he was actually moved to a TC, a transitional center.
Wow.
But to me, these guys do not need to be going to a transitional center because the transitional center is for them to get out and work and stuff. They need to be let out, give housing, get the mental health they need. The transitional center is just a step down from prison. It's still prison, but it's just a step down. They can get out and work. But a lot of these guys, just like that 80-year-old, why move him to a transitional center?
No.
He cannot get out and work. And like these guys, they need mental health. They don't need to be out in the world working right now.
And do these people that you're talking about, do they have family?
They do. Just like the man that's 80 years old.
Yeah.
He's been married 60 years. His wife has been standing by him the whole time, the whole 33.
Wow.
Exactly. And I have another one, Jeremy Crawford. He's been in 24 years. No DRs, no nothing. He's got so many trades, carpentry, masonry, CDL, welding, and he's not up next till 2027, and he'll be in 25 years then.
Wow.
And then I even have another one, Scott McTaggart. He's been in since he was 14 years old.
Oh my gosh.
28 years in.
Oh my gosh.
He's never had a DR.
Oh my gosh, I can't listen.
And he even works at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center in the kitchen.
I want to cry. Why?
He's good enough to work in their training center in the kitchen, but he's not good enough to give him parole.
14.
And
he was a baby.
Yeah. 14 years old.
Oh my gosh. It's heartbreaking. I feel like when you have these rallies, people must be shocked at these statistics.
Well, just like October 2nd is wrongful conviction day.
Yes.
I am having a rally. It's at Liberty Plaza in Atlanta, Georgia, right across from the Capitol. I will be rallying for the people that have been wrongfully convicted.
What's the advocacy like in Georgia? Is there a lot of people that are advocating? Like Nebraska doesn't have a large group of people. I'm trying to get one going, but there doesn't really seem to be a lot of people fighting for prison reform.
There is a lot of advocates, per se, that have their own passions. Just like my passion is for my lifers, because of course it is. My husband's a lifer.
Yeah.
And then to bleed off of that, being the lifer, my husband was sentenced under the 14 years. So my passion is with the 7 and 14-year lifers. So that's what I go really hard for because my heart's in it. And every advocate has their own passion, and that's what they're going to go hard for. Whereas all the advocates that are in Georgia, instead, I feel like they don't come together to make a whole. And we're all after the same thing, and that's to get these men and women out.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have as big of impact as it could have if we all came together.
And I feel like that is a common problem. that I've heard of in other states too. As you're speaking on that, I know a few other women that advocate in different states, and they experience the same thing as you. They feel like everybody needs to group together and focus on one thing at a time, but everybody is fighting for their own personal gains as opposed to like societal gains.
That's why I even feel about the ones inside the walls. I mean, they should, all of them, their purpose is to make it out of there alive. So therefore, I think they should all come together. There's strength in numbers, and the GDC has numbers. They have their numbers. So us as advocates, we all need to come together and put our numbers together and put our strengths and our passions together. And the people on the inside, they need to come together and do what they need to do to be able to get out of there instead of fighting against each other.
Yep. All these cases, are they on your Facebook?
They are.
Okay.
I mean, I make posts about them periodically throughout the time. I'll make posts regarding each one of them, the facts, just like I did with the posters. Some of them have come to me since the rally. The rally actually drew in a lot more
Publicity.
people to me that have been sentenced under the 7 and 14 year.
Oh.
So I did not create posters for those, but one of my plans is not only am I writing the parole board once a week and emailing them once a week, but I'm also going to start making a post every week about these guys. I even have one female that has reached out to me. Her family reached out to me, and she was actually on one of my posters, and she's been in like 30 years as well, and she was sentenced during the 14 year.
Wow. Is there any mistakes that you made along the way? Anything that you want to share? I always love hearing people's experiences and advocating and what they wish they would have done differently to help those that are just joining. Is there anything that you wish you did differently?
I wish I'd quit working at the prison sooner and started advocating for all these people before I did. That's really the only thing that I wish I had done differently. But like we said, God's timing. And it was just time because I started learning of all these people. And I probably would not have done that had I not worked at the prison. And I wouldn't have my wonderful husband.
Yeah.
Had I not worked at the prison, I would have never paid attention to anybody in prison. That's just the facts of it. I'm just real about it. And if I could tell anybody that is starting their advocating journey, you're going to hit dead end walls. You're going to feel like it's not doing any good. Just don't stop.
Yeah.
No matter what. If you get out there to have a rally and nobody shows up, have that rally by yourself. You never know who you're going to reach. And if you can reach one person, then you've done something.
Yeah. All it takes is one. And I've had a few people recently tell me that exact thing. So I think it's interesting that you're bringing it up too, because I've had some people that are advocating like 20 years that said to me, this is what makes change. What we're doing actually does affect change, even though it doesn't feel like it all the time, but it does work. So it's going to feel like you're getting nowhere, but you're making these baby steps. And then all of a sudden, it's going to gain momentum. It will work. It's just a matter of time and not giving up. That's what he said. No matter what, don't stop, because that's where the problem lies. They expect us to try for a little bit and then give up, which is what 90% of people do.
Exactly. A lot of people feel like they're not getting nowhere because I hear people all the time whenever I go to post about a rally. These rallies do no good and trying to be discouraging. And it may seem like it's not doing any good at that very moment, but eventually it will. And a lot of people put their feelings into it. And I say, follow your heart, follow your heart. But at the same time, when you're following your heart and you're putting your heart and your soul into it, you can't take it to heart when it feels like I'm not getting anywhere, because that's where a lot of people do stop. And if you stop, then you're not going to do any good.
The other thing I've realized is not working. Me and Nick have been working on this, not working on absolutes. So not seeing success as releasing Nick, because when you look at it that way, it seems so impossible. And then your brain kind of shuts down because you're like, I'm not getting to my end goal. But in your brain, when you're saying like a success to me is having another person join the end felony murder group, or having someone reach out, or whatever, like just having it more open in terms of what success means in an advocacy journey, instead of the only way I can measure success is freeing my husband, that it's not going to work because you're just going to feel like a failure and it feels like this huge mountain.
What I do is each time something positive happens, whether it be getting to talk to a parole board member, getting to talk to the governor, the parole investigator coming to talk to him, those are all wins.
Huge win. Yeah.
With the guy that got transferred to the TC, that was a win. So each thing that happens, that's the gift. That's what I'm after.
Yeah.
Whenever I have people reach out to me saying, hey, I've been watching you. I had a prison wife call me a few days ago out of nowhere, and I started not to answer the phone because I didn't know the number, and I answered it. She's not even on my Facebook, but she said, hey, I've been watching you, and my husband had told me about you and wanted me to reach out to you because I'm just starting my advocating journey and to get tips from you.
I love that.
It's just like I tell anybody, follow your heart. Any idea that you think of, follow through with it. Put the effort in it. Do it. Don't stop.
And
just don't stop.
Exactly. I agree. And you never know, like you said, one of the awesome women that I spoke to recently said that she met a stranger and was advocating on behalf of her son to a stranger, and they ended up knowing her son. And she's like, I would never have known that this person who was affiliated with legislature knew who her son was, felt affected by it, and then could pass on and advocate for him on his behalf. You never know who knows who in this world.
Exactly. And it's like the last rally I had,
Exactly.
I had more people come up from out of the street than I had there.
Yeah.
So you never know who you're interacting with, who they know. And it only takes one person.
Exactly.
You can reach one person, you've done something.
Yeah. And you never know how many failures you needed to go through to get to the win, which is that journey of life. Like you said about your husband, if you wouldn't have done certain things, you wouldn't have met him. You wouldn't have gotten where you are.
And you're going to feel like you have failed so many times. You are going to feel like you have failed, and you're going to be like, you know what? I just might as well quit.
Yeah.
That's going to come to your mind. I don't care who you are. If you're passionate about it and your heart's into it, you're going to feel like that. But the thing is, like I tell people, if you have to stop for a minute, take a breath, refocus, regroup, and go at it a different way. Just don't stop.
Exactly. Shout out to anybody who's afraid to open emails, because Nick makes fun of me all the time because I'm literally afraid to open the email because I'm so invested that I'm like, I don't want to know the answer because if it's bad, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he has to like pep talk me like, it's fine, because either way, an answer is movement, and that's all that matters. But it scares me too. It's still something that I'm working through, is opening the emails and answering the calls, even if it means bad news, because at least you know where to go next rather than being in limbo. So
yeah, exactly.
So what's next? What's your future?
What's next? Whew. Without saying, get my husband out alive, and seeing about his mental health. We have talked about advocating together as a husband and wife team, because what other better team is there than a husband and wife?
100%.
He knows the inside of the walls, I know the outside.
Exactly.
Another thing is I am going to start working on getting the party to a crime law changed here in Georgia. There's a lot of other states that have changed it, and Georgia needs to get on board, because nobody should be in prison for murder unless they committed a murder.
Exactly. That's what I'm going after also. I think that it's very possible, because I think that most people don't understand it. And I think once you learn about it, it just doesn't make sense. Yes, those people that were parties to a crime need to be held accountable for sure. I don't think anybody's debating that.
Just like I tell my husband, I'm not biased whatsoever. First of all, you were there.
Yeah.
And you did not report it.
Exactly.
Even though I can see the whys, but you were there and you did not report it. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't have served some time, because you didn't report the crime.
Exactly.
You didn't have no control over what the other person done, but at the same time, you were there and you didn't report it. So if they had slapped him with 5 years, 10 years, I'll even go 10 years, even though I think 10 years is a little bit much too. Yeah. But if they'd slapped him with 5 years for not reporting it, okay. But to slap him with a life sentence and charge him with murder.
Yeah.
It's not good at all.
I know. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not just. And it's not proportional to the crime.
I had a group of young ladies that were with a church group,
Mm-hmm.
and they come through at the last rally, and I was talking to them. And I mean, they were 13, 14 years old. And I told them, who you're around,
Yes.
who you're with matters.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave them my husband's case, for example. Mm-hmm. You never know. And like me and you, Jay, could be out somewhere and you just decided you wanted to kill somebody.
Exactly.
I can't control what you just did.
Yeah.
But now if I don't go tell on you, now I'm going to be charged with murder.
Yeah.
Just for being there with you.
Yeah. It's scary. There's someone in Nebraska, Ira. Ira Leon. He's been incarcerated for 33 years, I think. And he just met the guy the same day. And then the guy went and killed the clerk. And he was like, what the heck is going on? The same day. He didn't even know this human. And he's charged with a life sentence. And in Nebraska, it's life without parole automatically. So the person that actually committed the murder, when he went to trial, the options were first degree, second degree manslaughter. So the jury had the option to charge him under different categories. Whereas the people that were parties to the crime, the jury was only allowed to select first degree murder, life sentence, or not guilty. So what are you supposed to do? Meanwhile, the jury doesn't know that the first degree murder charge equals an automatic life without parole sentence. So they didn't even have an option, but the shooter has options. But the guys that were just standing there have no options. They're either in for life or not at all. How does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
It doesn't to anybody who's logical. So I think it's honestly, in my opinion, I think fighting these party to a crime, felony murder type laws should be easy. Should be, in theory. In practice, we're about to find out. But
it should be, but they're not going to make it easy. There is Kentucky, Hawaii, Illinois, Minnesota, Massachusetts. All of them have changed.
Yep. It's so exciting. And more people are trying to do it. So it's just a matter of time, I think, till we abolish it in the United States.
And it needs to be abolished because just like in Nick's case and in my husband's case, that's wrongful convictions because they didn't commit a murder.
Exactly. It's disproportionate. And it was created in the UK and was abolished in the UK 75 years ago. These types of laws only exist in the US and in Australia. That's it. The rest of the world has abolished it because they understand that it doesn't make sense. So why is two first world developing countries, one is the leader of the free world, why are we so behind in prison reform? I don't know.
I don't know either. I can't answer that.
Anyways, with that, it was great speaking to you as it always is. I love connecting with you and I love your insights and I love that we are on this journey together. Let's talk about how people can reach you.
People can reach me on my Facebook. Like I said, it's Stephanie Navarrete. All you got to do is take a look on there. Shouldn't be any other Stephanie Navarrete.
Can you spell?
It's Navarrete.
Okay.
One look at my page and you'll be able to tell that I'm an advocate.
And I love also how open you are to any opportunities. You are very open-minded and I feel like you love to help people. You understand what it's like, what teamwork is and how important it is to connect with whoever we can. So you're open to people adding you on Facebook and reaching out to you, correct?
Oh, yes. Anybody that wants to add me on Facebook from other states, give me ideas. I'll try them. Anybody in Georgia, if they want to add me and join with me in this fight, throw me ideas out there. Let's do it. We'll do it together.
Awesome.
I'm all about advocating for our loved ones and getting them home where they belong.
Well, thank you again. I so appreciate your time and insights. It has been a very big learning experience.
We always have fun together.
We do. And I'm sure you'll be back on because you're one of the first people that I became friends with in the advocacy world.
Exactly. I was actually episode number 3.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll talk soon. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
Take care.